Okay, welcome back, creatures of the night, to our next installment of Randy and I's look back at The Undertaker's long history in gimmick matches. And this is the first episode of many. I would say we have plenty of years worth of content just in gimmick matches alone. But I think we decided to kick it off with one of my favorite matches and just a match that is very rare in Undertaker gimmick match history. It's a first blood match. Usually when you think of Undertaker, you think caskets, you think buried alive, you think Hell in a Cell. But Randy, I think it was your idea that we start off with something different, something that he doesn't have many matches of, and that's the first blood match. And we're kicking it off with fully loaded 1999 Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker. Oddly enough, labeled the end of an era here in 1999. So thank you again, Randy, for joining me here today. And how's everything going with you before we get started with this match?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It'll be nice to get off of championships for a while, like you said, and just get on to something different. And I think it'll be good to get, some of these casket matches. I think there's 15 or 17, and it's going to be a long odyssey, and I'm happy to go on it, but it'll be nice to get some of these short ones, like, the fully loaded, the first blood match. It's only going to be a couple here and there. We can get some of these little ones kind of nipped in the bud right away. That'll be fun to do. And we're recording it on the most unholiest of holidays, are we not?
Yes, we are. Things happened in our lives that just we had to push the episode further and further down the road, and it came to happen on today of all days, March 24th, the Undertaker's 57th birthday. And you reminded me on it yesterday. It was Undertaker's birthday. I said, oh, we can't record any other day than the Undertaker's birthday, and it just worked out perfectly. And you're dressed to the nines as always with the happy birthday tiara, WrestleMania 18 jersey. I got an American flag Undertaker t-shirt, as he likes to sport nowadays in his interviews. So we're dressed in honor of the man himself.
Well, I got another prop here. I've got my Undertaker lighter from I think this is after the Attitude Era. This might have been 2007, 2008. But I got my Undertaker lighter, and I'm not going to burn down the funeral parlor here. but because it's his birthday, I did bring cake.
Oh my God.
I did bring a birthday. Yeah, I brought the Undertaker birthday cake. It's a birthday Swiss roll, I guess. But so Undertaker's 57th birthday, we're going to hope that he nails the Hall of Fame speech, and we're going to hope for plenty of more merch coming our way, Hall of Fame wise, and more action figures, and at least 4 more years of Steven and I talking about Undertaker matches.
Oh, at least 4 more years.
At least.
like an election season. 4 more years at least.
I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to bring this cake down. And she's like, what are you doing with the cake in the basement? I was like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. The less questions you ask, the better.
Yeah, this is great to be doing this on the Undertaker's birthday. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
there was a lot of anniversaries this last week or two. So I'm wearing the WrestleMania 18 jersey because it was 20 years ago last week when we were supposed to record that WrestleMania 18 happened. I was there, so I saw the Undertaker, and
I cannot believe it's been 20 years.
Right?
I can't believe it. I can't believe it's been 20 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years since WrestleMania 28 with the other end of an era match.
Right.
It's amazing. It's amazing how fast time goes.
I think we were all posting about yesterday was the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania 13.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe that was 25 years ago.
25 years ago. I can't believe that either.
That is crazy.
It is. It's crazy how fast time goes, but it feels like your memories just gets more and more clear as the time goes by. It's just odd how time and memories work like this.
Right. Like I think they talked about it on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. Those years from birth to like age 10 feel like an eternity because you're changing. You don't have memories at first. Right. But those but those 10 years between age 10 and 20 feel a little quicker. And then from 20 to 30, even more rapid, it just keeps getting quicker and quicker.
Oh, believe me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, before we get started, actually, for a loaded, how did you enjoy WrestleMania 18 being there? I don't really talk to a lot of people that were actually there live for WrestleMania 18. So how was the Undertaker Flair match in person? How was the atmosphere in person, especially in Canada of all places?
Yeah, that was awesome. That one, I always talk about how it didn't work out in 99 with SummerSlam. I missed it just because I came to school like 2 weeks after, so I missed it. But this one worked out because I was back at home in Michigan for spring break and then I think Toronto's only about a 4-hour drive from Detroit. So that worked out where I could go to, and we sat in like row ZZZ. I mean, we didn't have great seats, but we were there. Right. And that was awesome. It was so cool. That was only my second pay-per-view ever. It was my first WrestleMania, obviously. And it was really neat to be a part of that crowd. And it was not like 1998 crowd, but 2002 was still pretty hot. Everybody had a sign. Everybody was standing and into it. And I remember, I just remember being hot. I remember I had like a beaded like bracelet, like made out of beads on my wrist for some reason then. And I just remember like pumping my fist so hard when the Undertaker beat Flair that and I was so hot and sweaty that my beaded thing like just flew off of my arm. Like, cause I was just pumping my arm. So like, yeah, he won 10-0. They'll never break the streak. And I just remember my beaded bracelet just like flew like 25 rows in front of me and I never got it back.
Well, if anybody is listening was hit in the head by a beaded bracelet 20 years ago, you know who
Right.
to blame and who to send it back to.
Right. I'll give you my new address. You can send it back to me at my new house. But yeah, it was a cool match. That was great. And I do remember when Taker did the fingers and he signified 10-0. I mean, it's one of the only first times I think that he kind of made mention of the streak. And I remember thinking they'll never break it now. He's at 10. He did this with his fingers. Like, they're never going to break the streak now. We're safe.
Well, we had another 12 years out of it. So
We did.
Pretty good run.
Yeah, that was a great match. That was a great pay-per-view too. I think that was, I don't know. I mean, I know WrestleMania 17 is supposed to be the best WrestleMania. But this was probably close. This is only a year later. Yeah.
I enjoy 18 more than 19, I think.
Sure.
Just because, you had a better Undertaker match and just a better overall atmosphere, I think, in the whole WrestleMania. Better than 19. Because I know a lot of people like WrestleMania 19, but I'm like,
Sure.
I like WrestleMania 18 better.
Yeah, we had Hogan Rock, which wasn't the greatest wrestling match ever, but entertainment wise, it was amazing. That was electric. That crowd was hot for that match. Yeah, that should have went on last, but it didn't.
Yeah, you think back, you think that's the main event, but you forget you had Jericho and Triple H.
Yeah, Jericho and Triple H for the
belt.
What
did that match just fall through the cracks?
Right, yeah. Nobody even talks about that one today. It's always Hogan and Rock. That's what you think of.
Yeah, it's always Hogan and Rock, Taker, Flair. And even that doesn't even get talked about. The only thing they talk about is the 10. But that's a really underrated match.
Yeah, and Arn Anderson doing that run-in and doing that spine buster. That was great.
Right? So many great things happening in that match.
Yeah, I was pretty sure he wasn't going to lose the streak to Ric Flair. I was pretty sure. You never know, but I was pretty sure.
Right? Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
That's right.
As we see here today, bring it all the way back full circle, that anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation as we are getting ready for Fully Loaded 1999. As I said, end of an era, because it's not just a normal First Blood match. It is like anything in the Attitude Era. It is pumped up to volume 10 here at the First Blood match, because if The Undertaker loses, you'll never see Vince McMahon on TV again. And if Stone Cold Steve Austin loses, he'll never become WWF champion again. So you have the kind of like, which way is this really going to go? Are they going to have Undertaker win and have Austin, maybe find a loophole to become champion? because you're thinking you can't have Vince McMahon off television. He's the owner. You can't have him off. You can't have him leave. So
Right.
it's like it kept you guessing here. So I'm ready to begin. You ready, Randy?
Heck yeah, always.
Awesome. We are both queued up on Peacock at 2 hours, 11 minutes, 31 seconds. If you are watching along with us, you are treated to a blank black screen. So you're in for something good when you're starting off with a blank screen here.
Right. Did you, Steven, I don't know if you had time to roll through the entire pay-per-view. I kind of like fast forwarded parts of it, but I liked on this one really quick that they had like they kept building up the match throughout the night leading up to the actual pay-per-view. I know we've had that on a couple of random Raws and SmackDowns where we liked that they built up the match with about 5 different segments throughout the night. They didn't have to do that here because it was already built in throughout the month, but they still kept doing it. So on they show on Heat, Sunday Night Heat, back when Sunday Night Heat actually had stuff happening on it. They had Taker in his Canadian tuxedo. He had his black denim on, and he busted Austin open during an interview segment to give him like a pre-existing injury in this first blood match. So he kind of beats him up beforehand and busts him open. So that happens on Heat beforehand. And then they were showing Austin getting a Band-Aid from the trainers on his bald head. And he kind of was mad, and he was saying how he was going to get the Undertaker back. So I think earlier in this pay-per-view, Jeff Jarrett wins the Intercontinental belt, and Austin goes out there and just stuns him like he's nothing. And then he gets on the mic and says, by the end of the night, I will get the Undertaker back before we get to our match, essentially. So I thought it was interesting. They had like that going on. Then they had the Kane and Big Show were supposed to wrestle each other at this pay-per-view.
Yes.
And I mean, they did wrestle each other, but they showed in the vignette for that match, they showed Taker and Kane kind of temporarily had gotten on the same page, and they were beating up the Big Show. And that partnership, of course, was short-lived when they showed that the Undertaker was also beating up X-Pac at the time. So Kane didn't like that. So Undertaker's like, he's involved in this main event first blood match for the World Wrestling Federation title, and he's messing around with X-Pac and Kane and Big Show for.
We kind of plant the seeds for SummerSlam 99, as we've already discussed. And as Kane Knight 10 and I took a look back this past week, you got to plant the seeds for Big Show and Undertaker forming that unholy alliance, getting a Kane X-Pac, because Undertaker needed an opportunity to get out there so that he can go in the back and then, as you said, be attacked by Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You got it, yeah.
So he himself gets busted open. So now it's an even playing field here in this main event.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. X-Pac came out to interfere in that Big Show Kane match, and then Taker came out to beat on X-Pac. He's got some vendetta against X-Pac, and you're right, on the way back in through the curtain, Austin was ready for him, and he threw his forehead into the cement wall, busted him open.
That'll do it.
Now they're even. Although I did like during that match, I did make a note that there was a Big Show is in my pants sign during the Big Show Kane match. So I did notice that. But yeah, so they're even. So they both have cuts coming into this match. They both had pre-existing injuries. But I did like how they used like 5 different segments to help build this match for later in the night.
Right. And it's like, you've already built this pay-per-view match. You've made it as big as you possibly could. But then you're adding all these things into the pay-per-view. Like you're adding, like when Undertaker cuts up Austin, you have Vince and Shane looking on in the background. It's like, it's like, of course, Vince and Shane would be orchestrating this plan. So you're thinking, okay, so now Vince may not be the one leaving, because if Vince is, he's present throughout the whole pay-per-view here, you can't really just write off Vince McMahon. And then when Austin gets back at the Undertaker, now you're on an even playing field here. And then now Undertaker is planting the seeds to maybe go on further from the championship with the Big Show pairing against X-Pac. So you have plenty of, like you said, lots of different things intertwined in this whole main event match. And as we'll see, another player enters in near the end of the match to forward for the rivalry even further.
It's confusing in a way, but it's also kind of cool because it was literally must-see TV. Every minute of the pay-per-views, because you don't know, even during a random light heavyweight match, there could be something where The Rock comes out or Austin. You don't know. You have no idea what's going to happen.
I mean, Jeff Jarrett winning the Intercontinental belt, Austin comes out, stuns him, and
Right.
that's everything in motion here.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, a Jeff Jarrett match, that's a bathroom break for some people.
Don't leave because you might miss Austin coming out. That's right.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. 2:11:31. I'm ready.
2:11:31. 3, 2, 1, play.
There's that smoking skull belt, which I absolutely hated as an Undertaker fan. I think it was cool when Austin had it, but like Undertaker won the belt. I was like, okay, get the real belt out. I don't want this smoking skull belt. Now they're showing the vignette building up the first blood match over the last month.
Something they've always been good at, just playing these vignettes, getting you up to speed. Like if this is your first pay-per-view, you're just getting into it, you're up to speed through this.
Yeah, Austin beat him for the championship on a random Raw right after King of the Ring 99, and then Taker busts him open right away.
Yeah. The most viewed Raw match.
Yes. This was at the height of me feeling like the Undertaker lost to Austin every 5 seconds, and it drove me bananas. Like I was so sick of Steve Austin, like John Cena sick of Steve Austin at that time, just because he would lose to him at rock bottom. He'd lose to him tonight. He lost the belt to him on Raw. I mean, just always lost to Austin.
Yeah. And the win he got over him and over the edge, it felt like a cheap win.
Right.
He didn't tombstone him. He didn't choke slam him.
Nobody remembers that one because of everything else that happened that night, of course.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's Undertaker's crowning moment, and then everything else falls apart.
I did like how Austin mentioned here that the last time he was in a first blood match in 1998, the previous year, Undertaker cost him the win against Kane. I thought that was really cool that they tied that in.
Yeah, because as we were talking about before we hit play, is Kane is again at play with the Undertaker.
Yep, that's right.
Signing the contract in Austin's own blood.
Amazing.
It is.
Total attitude era right there.
Oh, yeah.
So they have this thing where Undertaker says, "I want your blood," and then Austin says, "I want a piece of your ass." But Peacock, the closed captioning says, "I want to pinch your ass," which makes it a completely different match whatsoever.
Oh my God. We get ass, blood, Big Show in your pants. I mean,
yes, the Big Show is in my pants sign. Oh, and here comes the Bloodmobile. I didn't remember this. Of course, everybody remembers the beer truck and the Zamboni. I was there for the Zamboni. I do not remember the Bloodmobile. Do you?
oh my God. I can't remember if I did. It's like maybe 7 if I saw this live.
I didn't remember this at all.
Oh God, McMahon's bleeding.
Now Vince is bleeding.
Whenever Vince is involved in any storyline, he's got to be busted open.
I think I listened to the Talking Taker episode for this again, just to kind of go through and review. And they had a blood counter, and I think it got up to 10 in this buildup because everybody's bleeding left and right, including Vince.
Bleeding. Yeah, everybody's bleeding. I don't know if Paul Bearer bled, but he probably did.
Oh my gosh. I think they were joking after a while. It's not even a first blood match. It's a 10th blood match because everybody's been bleeding all month.
You got that Starburst WWF blimp.
Yes.
I missed those blimps. I remember that.
Vince is going to be coming out first.
Yeah.
I looked this up. Vince was legit hurt in a motorcycle accident in like July 4th weekend, 99. So this is a legit thing. And
this is where he gets it from.
Because it confused me because in the fall of 98, he gets beat up by Undertaker and Kane. and he's kayfabe in a wheelchair. And then you fast forward 6 months and then he's in a real wheelchair. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this the same injury? But I had to look it up and no, it's a different injury. This is a real one, I guess.
I like how Vince turns around. I always remember Vince turns around and he's like shocked that his photo's up there. It's like, sir, you're the one that okays everything.
Right.
But I always thought it was I always liked this entranceway for some reason. They have the three characters at play here in this main event. You have the pictures, and Vince is the only one they're bleeding. It's really interesting that they chose the Vince McMahon picture of bleeding of all the ones to choose.
Right. I just liked when they had themed entrances all together. Now they don't really have that.
I love themed entrances.
Got a lot of middle fingers at Vince. Oh my.
How can you just walk right past that? Oh my God. He's going to grace JR and King with his presence.
Yeah, I say he's going to do some commentary, which is kind of, we won't hear it because we'll be talking instead, but it's kind of cool because he hasn't done commentary since he became Mr. McMahon. So it's been a couple years.
Yeah. A couple years of Vince without commentary. That woman with the camera taking photos.
Look at that large camera. I mean, that is
a camera. That woman loves Vince.
Yes.
This is such a 90s crowd if I ever saw one.
People have signs. They're into it. I mean, this is at the height of,
it's
the Attitude Era.
I know. It's like, wow. Sometimes you just don't have words.
Well, they're hooking Vince up here with his headset.
And he's got his crutches.
Look at that hair. His hair is all like black and compare it to today.
Yeah, quite a different McMahon.
That random shirtless guy behind Lawler. 2 shirtless guys behind Lawler.
Random shirtless guys.
I don't often go to a pay-per-view and think, you know what? I got to take my shirt off. Maybe I should have. I was told you I was so hot at WrestleMania 18. I should have just taken my shirt off, I guess.
Yeah. Should have went like these guys. Should have went like a group of friends and wrote like Taker on yourselves.
Here comes Taker in the back. No pomp and circumstance, no hat, no coat.
No entrance cloak. Yeah, because it's I think when was the last time he had an entrance cloak in the ministry? Was it I don't even know if he had it in King of the Ring. I know he had it over the edge. He had that robe, the investment robe. I'm trying to think if he even had it at King of the Ring or not.
Yeah, no Paul Bearer, nothing. He's just going to walk right out there. And he's, of course, dabbing his forehead, trying to make sure he's not bleeding. Allegedly, his is in his hairline, so you can't see it.
Yeah. I mean, he's entering first, which is weird to have Undertaker enter first, even back then.
Did we just miss the eyebrow piercing era? I know he had that towards the end of 98. And I know this is almost the end of the dead man here. He's only got about 6 more weeks to go. So, and he doesn't seem to have it today. So I thought, I think we just missed the eyebrow piercing era.
I think we missed the eyebrow piercing era. Yes.
I don't know if I like the eyebrow piercing. That couldn't have been fun to wrestle in either way.
No, I don't think so. But it was so 90s. And Undertaker he's always wanted to be trendy, apparently. Always wanted to be trendy.
Well, I think he's not long for this, for the Federation, right? He's only got about 2 more months left. This is the last pay-per-view singles match for the dead man before he goes away. He'll stick around for SummerSlam and kind of hide in that tag match a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then by Unforgiven, he's out of here with a groin injury, I think. And he's gone.
And Unforgiven, he was again planned for like a 6-pack challenge. So not really a singles match planned for him. So again, he was going to be in a multi-man match, hoping that they can still mask that injury if he can participate.
Right.
Somebody loves Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, that's me. That's probably my sign right there. I don't see his cut, but they say it's in his hairline.
JR says he has it super glued shut, so they must have it super glued shut.
They're doing the same entrance for Austin now, showing him in the back. And I noticed with Austin here, he's got a big Band-Aid on his forehead. So I call BS on this a little bit because Steve gets to wear a big pad on his cut a little bit. Undertaker just gets some super glue. I mean, what do you think is going to hold more?
I mean, well, yeah.
I want a recount on Fully Loaded 99.
Yes. We need a recount on a 23-year-old match. Give Undertaker that championship.
Right. Yeah. Screw the Owens show on WrestleMania. We need to get those guys back out there and redo this one. When Austin too, Austin's not long for the Federation either, right? Austin's going to stick around for just about as long as Taker, maybe a month or so longer, and then he's going to get hit by a car and he's out of here.
He's going to get hit by a car.
Right.
You mention that to anybody that's not a wrestling fan, they're going to say, what the hell are you watching?
Right. What?
He's going to get hit by a car and he's not killed?
I do like that they went right after each other here. After all month of slicing each other open, this is not a collar and elbow tie-up kind of match. I mean, they are going right after each other. Yeah.
And I remember that throughout the whole match, they're both like checking themselves, like, oh my God, am I bleeding?
Such great attention to detail to kind of like dab your forehead and then look at your hand and make sure you're not bleeding.
Yes.
This is the Undertaker that we would get in at WrestleMania 2000, the video game, right? On N64. This is the Undertaker you get.
Yeah, this is the base attire, the red outline.
I know because I would only play as the Undertaker. I don't think I ever played as anybody else.
Beating up Stone Cold Steve Austin so you can have that pleasure of winning the match against them.
Feeling like I could get some of those wins back.
Yeah. This is also figure related. This is also Hall of Champions Undertaker.
Is it? Oh yeah. Okay.
Red outline TX.
Yeah. I remember WrestleMania 2000, the video game, like his default, like you could go through like the C button and he would have 4 different ones and it was like red, green, black. They wasn't much different, It was all just the outline on his chest. That was it.
And I remember the last one is the 98. I think the game with the beard and his like SummerSlam 98 attire.
Yeah.
Simpler times.
Yeah, I love that game. It makes me want to hook my stuff up and play it right now.
Yes. Needs to be done. You don't have to wait to move. You could just, pull it out of the box, hook it up.
Well, good news. We speaking of, I got information on my closing date. Closing on Friday the 13th of May. I mean, what better day? What better day?
Of course you would close on Friday the 13th.
Right. If you're a horror movie guy, an Undertaker guy,
as the horror aficionado that you are.
Right. I love it.
It means nothing's going to go wrong on that day for you.
No, not at all. I'm sure it will go smoothly.
Yeah. I'm sure of it.
This is they're brawling everywhere here. I mean, this is a 15-minute match, but we haven't even started yet because we haven't got to the ring.
But does that even really matter back then? Does it even really matter?
No, not at all. No. I mean, this is just 2 pure strikers and brawlers doing what they do best.
And just Undertaker chucking a huge piece of steel steps into the crowd. If you don't move, it's on you.
Right. It's like Lesnar throwing that car door.
Oh my God. If you don't see the car door coming at you at 50 miles per hour, that's your fault.
That's your problem, right?
Wow.
In the law, we call that's assuming the risk. So when you go to a baseball game, if you get hit by a baseball, you're assuming the risk that could happen to you. So
yeah. You paid for the ticket, you know what could happen.
Right?
Yeah.
That Jim Dotson guy, the security guy with the backwards Kangol hat and the fanny pack. I remember that guy. I remember thinking he should be a wrestler.
Yeah, as I've heard on Bruce Pritchard, quite the good friend of Undertaker.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Undertaker was the one that got him the job.
Oh, awesome.
So It pays to have Undertaker as a friend.
Must be nice to have like a bunch of friends that are just muscular dudes. Like all my friends look like me and you.
Yeah.
This is the last time that the Dead Man will ever face Stone Cold Steve Austin. They'll have some matches after he's Biker Taker.
Yep.
By the time he comes back as the Dead Man again in 04, Austin's done. So this is it for Dead Man and Austin.
It's just sporadic appearances from Austin.
Right. And if you could have told 18-year-old Randy Turco at this time, this is the last time that you ever have to see Dead Man take on Austin, I would have just said hallelujah, because he just seemed to lose to Austin every other week, and it just drove me nuts.
And in quite the reversal of fortune, American Badass Undertaker seems to beat Austin more times than Dead Man Taker.
Right. I was shocked when I don't know if it's Talking Taker or I forgot who dug it up. Yeah, I think it was Alex. They dug it up and it was like almost 500 pay-per-view record. Like it was almost 50-50. And I was like, there's no way. Cause like teenage me did not perceive it that way.
Well, yeah, because Undertaker beat him to defend the title in that one pay-per-view. And then he beats him in the Badass. And then Austin beats him here and SummerSlam. So it's like evens out.
Yeah. It looks closer than maybe it felt at the time, but.
Oh yeah. Because when he's losing like match after match against them, oh my God. You know, you're not even thinking of like the future.
Right. Undertaker should at least rip his Band-Aid off, right? At least expose the wound.
I mean, come on, yeah. Besides the steel steps, no real like hardcore weapons used yet.
I do see I'm here to whip Austin's ass sign, but whip is WIP.
Oh my God.
So
what is
there's
with
that.
These people in these signs today.
I also see the one person in the corner there. There's the one person that actually bought the foam road dog head.
I was just going to mention something about the foam road dog. Undertaker again, never having any luck with that big boot in the corner.
No. Austin trying to chop down the Undertaker to at least get him on the floor, and then maybe you can make him bleed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And as a guy, the cameraman in the corner there, still sporting King of the Ring.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Instead of the fully loaded t-shirt he should be wearing. I'm just going to sport King of the Ring 99.
You know what's funny is I just sold this month. I went through my storage bins because I'm moving, and I had about 4 or 5 Kurt Cobain shirts, like after he passed away, and they're all 4XL. You know my story, right?
Of course, we all know your story.
They're in great shape, but they're just big. So I decided to sell some of them on eBay, just thinking we'll see what they go for. I'm not kidding. 3 or 4 shirts in, I'm up $900.
Wow.
So could you imagine some of these original Austin 316 shirts in the crowd, what they would go for now? I mean, that would just be crazy.
I can only imagine.
Right.
It's shocking. It's shocking how much a t-shirt goes for. It's a t-shirt.
I'm up $900. And I mean, I loved those shirts. I've had them since, high school, but they're just too big. And I would never be in a position to wear those again because they are so big. So there's just a market for that. And I mean, they didn't even last on eBay for the night. And I was up $900. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I've got more. I've got Undertaker. I've got Foo Fighters. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Oh my gosh.
You'll see in my Talking Taker video, if you watch next month's episode on YouTube, you'll see on this wall behind me is all Taker shirts. I taped them to the wall. It was great.
Nice. Oh, for your video?
For my thank you video, thank you Taker video. Yep.
I really can't wait to hear that video put together.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what they can do with that.
Do you remember how long yours was? He was saying 3 or 4 minutes and mine went 6:11. So I felt bad, but I messaged him.
I think mine was like 2. I think mine was so mine was under, yours was over, so it equals each other.
It evens out. Oh, good. I'll just sneak in with you then. Yeah. Okay.
So it's fine. It's totally fine. I didn't want to get too winded. I mean, it's just like I just mentioned, basic stuff.
Sure.
What he was responsible for, what he's responsible for, and me collecting and.
Spoiler,
I,
you know,
I ended it with quite the funny anecdote. So I'm looking
nice.
forward to having the people watch that too.
Yeah, say spoiler. I do ask him about the hook on the off chance that he's watching.
Oh my God.
Yes, without question.
You're gonna have to one of these days, you're gonna have to spend like the $200 to meet him and ask him in
Oh,
person.
I mean, after hearing your story and then Alex and Travis meeting him, I mean, and then COVID happened. So if absolutely, if he's in Minnesota or even Iowa or maybe even Chicago, I would make it happen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're back out in the crowd. They were in the ring, by the way, if you're keeping score, for about 4 seconds, and now they're back out in the crowd. So if you bought a ringside seat, too bad for you. But if you bought upper bowl seats, you're in luck because you're getting Undertaker and Steve Austin up close right now.
And as you said about t-shirts, look at all those odd t-shirts those people are wearing, like the Austin, like the blue Austin face, the Austin 316, Stone Cold. I mean, oh my God.
So much money right now. So much money. I do have a DDP shirt from WCW that says self high five with the big blue diamond on the front.
Hey.
I love it. It's about 2XL though. And so I do have it up. I do have it on eBay right now for 130. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. As we were talking before the show hit record, they on WWE Shop putting up those retro Undertaker t-shirts.
Yes.
I love the Dark Days one. You love the See You on the Other Side one.
Yes.
Hoping that one day they repro a Ministry of Darkness Undertaker shirt. That would be really cool if they would have done that one too.
Love that. Yeah. See You on the Other Side is definitely happening with whatever Hall of Fame shirt I decide on. Steven and I were talking that one of them, the front looks good. The first one, the purple one, the front looks good, but there's really nothing on the back. And then the second one, the front, it looks okay, but not as good as the purple one. And then it has all the cool stuff on the back, like his career accomplishments. I wish you could like combine the two somehow, right? So I haven't decided which Hall of Fame shirt I'm getting. Taker's getting choked by a cord here. I don't know how that's going to make him bleed, but
no, but the miniature fan may help. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is everybody, Jerry Lawler and an injured Vince McMahon stood up when Austin and Undertaker were going to go on the announce table, but JR chose not to stand up.
JR's a man. He's not afraid of nobody.
But an injured Vince said, you know what, screw this, I'm getting up.
Getting out of Dodge, right? See, now Taker bumps the ref here. I can't tell if this is an accident or if that was legitimately supposed to happen. He kind of runs into Earl as they was hitting the ropes. And then he gets in the Andre spot right there with his arms entangled in the ropes so Austin can kind of unload on him. I think Earl was just in the way, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I've always been not 100% sure either.
Right.
It looked like he was legitimately pissed.
Like, what are you doing here? Get out of my way. Yeah.
But also, he's supposed to also play that up too.
Austin's going to tee off on the Undertaker here because he's locked in the ropes like Andre the Giant used to be.
But hang on. Shane McMahon sacrificing himself.
Oh, yeah. The Boy Wonder just ate that chair. I mean, no hands, nothing. Taker's still in the ropes. So you could still pick up the chair and use it on Taker. Oh,
not anymore.
Undertaker with a big boot to the face from that position. And then Earl helps him out of the ropes.
And a nice low blow to Stone Cold.
There you go. Maybe he'll bleed from that.
Maybe. Not in the position that's visible to the refs, but still.
So Undertaker is going to get control here. And I think if my notes are right, Taker is going to then get the chair and he's going to attack Austin in the back, which is just the weirdest thing. Taker's also getting the turnbuckle off, trying to use that maybe to split open Austin.
Well, that metal hook will do the trick. I mean, if he's able to do it. But turnabout's fair play, I guess, as Undertaker gets a low blow.
Gets a mule kick, yep.
And a stunner, which of course will make him bleed.
Right.
But that's it. That Vince has seen enough. He is up. He is attacking Austin with his crutch. He's just seen enough.
At least trying to distract him, which it's working. Oh, and I mean, Austin just potatoes Vince. He just potatoes him.
And JR is just having a field day with Down with McMahon.
All the sound bites, and we're grabbing a new chair, a brand new chair to get the Undertaker now. The Taker gets Austin incapacitated, and in order to make him bleed, he hits him in the back. Okay.
It's like, Earl Hebner's admonishing him for using weapon in a no DQ match. It's
right.
Like, what's going on here?
Undertaker now is going to be able to finish off Austin, except
we got interference from X-Pac, the man that Undertaker has been after the last, as you said, last couple of weeks, trying to get Kane back to the dark side instead of being more human.
Huge pop for X-Pac hitting that Van Daminator on Undertaker. I thought that was the end of the match. I thought that made him split open, but it just incapacitates him so Austin can bring in this camera. And gets that camera right in the face, and that camera is going to do it and split him open. Although I guess if X-Pac split him open, that wouldn't have really been Austin doing it. So that makes sense.
I guess. And also, I don't really see how the camera on its side can split you open, but
right. And how is Shane not bleeding after that chair shot? My God.
Seriously. And how is Undertaker bleeding so much?
Right.
It would have been a better finish, I think, if both men ended up bleeding. Then the referee's like, who bled first?
Right. We got to check the tape. Undertaker going for a tombstone here.
Don't turn around.
But then Earl's going to see the damage on his face. And that's it.
I just said, just beat up Earl Hebner.
That's just payback for screwing up that spot earlier where he was in the way. And he eats another stunner, Taker does.
I can't believe the crowd is just on fire for this.
Yes, I was just going to say that. You're right.
And Vince is going to eat another stunner.
Boy, if they're getting sick of Austin after a year and a half of him doing this, they aren't showing it tonight.
No, they aren't showing it tonight.
Oh, here comes Triple H, who he beat The Rock, right? Earlier tonight, he beat The Rock to become the #1 contender.
In the match just before this.
Yes.
And what's funny is Triple H wins and loses and then wins again his #1 contendership spot.
Oh my gosh.
Because he wins it against Rock.
Out comes The Rock.
And then China beats Triple H and Undertaker to become #1 contender to SummerSlam. And then Triple H has to beat China again to win back the #1 contendership.
Very Vince Russo and very Attitude Era.
And then just when you think it's going to be one-on-one, Stone Cold versus Triple H, Mankind gets added to the mix at SummerSlam.
Yes. I think Austin's bleeding now from the camera. That camera must be made of razor blades because it is cutting everybody open. Yeah,
it's cutting everybody open. Undertaker is ripping apart the announce table area. Austin is bleeding like a stuffed pig everywhere on his body.
My God. I mean, this is just in addition, like we were talking about, these guys have been cutting themselves open all month, and now they got to do it like this again. Oh my God.
The floor is just covered in blood.
Right.
Undertaker swatting away that can and then punching Shane.
And Taker was, he would later get mad at Bob Orton for bleeding everywhere when he's got Hep C. I mean, my God, look at this. This is terrible.
Well, Undertaker and Austin must have not had Hep C.
I guess not.
You think it's over. You think it is over, but it's not. They just keep going after each other.
Right. But it's the end of an era, so there's no payoff for this. This is just...
It's it.
Yeah. Eric shaves men's asses. I see that sign in the crowd behind them right now. Eric Bischoff? I don't know.
I'm guessing it could be. Unless somebody's spilling somebody's secret on live TV. No, he's not the loser.
Nope. Taker largely unaffected other than, bleeding, but he's going to be back tomorrow. Vince is not, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Vince has to go away forever or 1 month.
Or 1 month, yes.
Austin acting like he's going to shake hands. Like, hey man, it's what a long winding road it's been. Let's shake
Oh,
hands.
yeah.
Bygones be bygones. But you and I know better than that.
Of course. I can't believe Vince fell for it.
Stunner.
So that
It is
ends.
kind of the end of an era though, right? Because I don't think Austin McMahon do anything anymore because Austin goes away, right? I think that's kind of it.
It's kind of it, because then when Vince comes back, he shifts his focus to Triple H.
Does, yeah.
Shifts his focus to Triple H, a McMahon Helmsley era. And then The Rock shifts his focus to Rock. Undertaker, when Undertaker comes back as the badass. So
Right.
it's kind of the end of an era with there's no really and more interaction between Austin and McMahon until WrestleMania 17.
Right, where they team up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vince had a good 99 though. Vince won the Rumble in January. He'll come back and win the WWF title in September. And then, like you said, by December, he's feuding with Triple H and main eventing Armageddon. So he had a pretty good year, even though he loses here.
Yeah, he had a pretty good year. So
And then,
as the match ends, what are your thoughts about it?
it was better. It was better than I remember. From watching it, I don't even know, 23 years ago. So it was better than I remembered. It was kind of cool. I knew what happened, but it was kind of cool not to remember exactly what happened. So I thought that X-Pac spot was it. And then when they kept wrestling, I thought, oh yeah, the camera, I forgot about that. So it was kind of like a surprise. It's always nice to see how hot the crowd was back then and how into it they were. I mean, even after the match was over and they just did all that extracurricular gaga, as Bruce Pritchard would say. I mean, they were eating that stuff up.
I mean, just that stunner to Vince at the end, the pop that gets. It's like match is over. That's not needed, but hell, they're going crazy for this stuff.
Yes, they loved it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, as we talked about, Undertaker and Austin are both gone pretty soon after this match for lengthy time for their injuries. Austin's got that broken neck. Taker's got a groin injury, and then he tears a pec, and that's going to keep him out even longer. And so they both miss WrestleMania 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that Keegan Dimitrovic, the Raving Wolf, I saw that he posted something a couple days ago, like on Twitter, he posted like who would have Undertaker's opponent been at WrestleMania 2000. And that really got me thinking. I think Keegan was advocating for Jericho. I think that would have been a good match. I don't know that if it would have happened that soon, because Jericho was, doing that Eurocontinental thing with Benoit and Angle. But it did make me think, like, who would the Undertaker have taken on if he was healthy enough? And I know the Talking Taker guys kind of hypothesized that he was going into the American Badass phase, whether he was going to leave for injury or not. He was starting to wear jeans. He was starting to kind of talk in the middle of his match where he'd talk to Austin and be like, "You're going to bleed, boy." I mean, the dead man Undertaker wouldn't do that. So he's kind of starting to become the American Badass anyway. So I wonder if by the time WrestleMania 2000 came about, who his opponent would have been. I don't know about Jericho, but I wonder if it would have been not all that exciting. I wonder if it would have just been the Big Show with their tag team.
That's what I always thought it would have been.
And
I thought that the tag team would have ran its course, imploded, and then by WrestleMania, the one-on-one confrontation.
Yeah, maybe they would have won the belts maybe a couple more times. And then, like you said, get to maybe Rumble, maybe,
one turns on the other to eliminate them from the Rumble.
Some chinks in the armor there, and then all of a sudden they're off. And I think that would have been a good attraction. I don't think he would have broken the streak. And I think it probably 2000 Big Show against the Undertaker would have probably been better than what we got at WrestleMania 19 with A-Train. It would have been I think it would have been a good attraction. I don't think he would have won, but that's what I think would have happened had he stuck around.
That's what I think.
It has nothing to do with this timeline, but while we're on the topic, what do you think about WrestleMania 10? Because that's the other one that he missed due to injury slash honeymoon, whatever you think it was. There's different hypotheses out there why he missed, but that was also during the days of like random booking. The streak wasn't a thing. Undertaker just taking on a lot of random big guys.
I mean, I'm guessing one of the people that helped Yokozuna at the Rumble.
Right. I have on my sheet here, possibly Adam Bomb, Bam Bam Bigelow, or Evil Crush. I mean,
I would have gone either one of those ones, because I'd probably Crush. He was friends with Crush. They probably would have paired them against each other. Wouldn't doubt Bam Bam Bigelow. He's the guy that laid on the casket at the end of the match.
yes, I remember that.
Adam Bomb, that fits. Any one of those. I think those three main characters, any one of those would have fit.
Saw a lot of people online were fantasy booking like him and Yokozuna again at WrestleMania 10, and
No,
that way, you don't have to have like the
he's got to work himself back. He's just been Yokozuna and all those other minions just screwed him.
right.
So it's time to get back at Yokozuna by getting after his minions and then making his way back to Yokozuna at Survivor Series.
Yeah, if this was 5 years later, maybe they would book it that way, because the streak and the Undertaker, WrestleMania, all a big deal. But back then it seemed to just be, Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez, Undertaker, Bam Bam. Like they would have it would have been awesome to add 2 more matches to the streak with WrestleMania 2000 and WrestleMania 10. But I don't know that any one of those would have brought an amazing legendary match that we all remember. I don't think so.
Yeah. But I'm guessing any one of those minions from Yokozuna.
Yeah.
I've been it.
Taker did a good job though over all those years. He only missed 2. I mean, he only missed 2 to injury / honeymoon / whatever. Just
Whatever.
Taking a break, Yeah. I mean, he only missed 2. I mean, really. And I mean, I guess WrestleMania 35, if you want to count that, where he was sort of one foot in, 1 foot out, not really wrestling, but kind of. Right.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I thought about, you always put a focus on toys. And so I thought about the toys that would go with this. And it floored me when I looked that Undertaker doesn't have a bloody figure. Like, not that I could find.
Right. They planted at bloodlines like him as a bloody demon, which I think would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Him as like a bloody Satan type figure has been great. But yeah, no bloody action figures. And really, there hasn't been any bloody WWF action figures.
It was just ahead of its time, because you think about Cody and Dustin Rhodes had that AEW bloody, ringside exclusive pack that they were all spattered with blood. I think something like that would have been awesome for this match, where especially the buildup was, my God, blading every Monday.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see something like that. They didn't have a bloody toy. So the only things I came up with were a couple of box sets. I'm sure you know about them, but they had a box set that was actually called the Fully Loaded Jack's box set. This pay-per-view was fully loaded, and it was Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the New Age Outlaws, which is a strange bedfellows situation, because it wasn't often that you saw Taker and Steve Austin tag team, and especially against the New Age Outlaws. But
I guess they're going after Fully Loaded 98 when they win the tag titles.
I suppose. Yeah, because it did come out in 98, and it was that 97, 98 Undertaker mold that they repainted a million times.
Make the most out of your molds.
Right. I don't remember seeing that one in stores or anything, Fully Loaded. Do you have that one?
Yeah, I do have that one, but like you, box sets, I vaguely remember box sets.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's like, I remember the single carded figures more than anything. Yeah. Finding a box set was like rare, finding a box set.
I feel like I saw some of them, but it never interested me to own, the Outlaws and Steve Austin with Undertaker. I'm like, I got to spend $20 more, and then I got to take home all these other figures that I don't want. I just wanted the Undertaker, so.
I wanted Kane to go against Undertaker, because that's the feud, Kane. You don't want the Outlaws, like, oh.
Right. I didn't want a New Age Outlaws figures. And the other box set was, of course, the Bad Blood box set. I mean, it wasn't bloody figures, but it was called Bad Blood. That one also came out in 98. And you own that one. I own that one. I opened mine.
Not only do you own that, you own the Undertaker, and you sold the rest of the box set.
It's Undertaker. This is more of the 98, 99 mold that they also repainted 8 million times. But the thing about that one that I loved was they repainted him as white as a sheet of paper,
Mhm.
and then they gave him that cross on his palm that looks like the Unforgiven '98 poster. So I love little nuggets like that, and I thought I have to have that one. So I did buy it. You're right, and I sent Blonde Paul Bear to Alex Dorio. So it's
Blonde
in
pallbearer.
so Blonde Paul Bear is in South Carolina, and then Kane and Mankind I sold off on eBay for coupons to get my money back, a little bit of my money back on the box set. But I had to have the Bad Blood box set. Too bad they weren't bloody, but it did have blood in the name, so I thought I'd bring it
Cool.
up today.
Yeah, that's. I think they could. I think they could do so much now with like having a
Right,
bloody type thing, even through ringside, like AEW does. Because that's something that won't appeal to the mass retailers. They don't want any
right.
blood. But I think even something they could have done back then with like the Titantrons or the Bone Crunchers, they could have done something interesting, especially with something like this. It's like it had so much buildup. It had so much airtime. You're including Austin, Undertaker, Vince. So much of you're labeling it the end of an era, like they did with
Right.
Undertaker, Triple H, and Michaels. Like this is something big. This is something huge happening here, and
Right.
they just totally missed the boat.
And they could still do that now, I think, with some of the bigger ones. Obviously you don't want Undertaker X-Pac, and nobody's going to buy that. But Undertaker and Austin, a bloody 2-pack ringside exclusive, I think people would buy that.
Oh yeah.
Right. There's that Austin fan base. There's the Undertaker fan base, and there's just the collectors in general that are going to want to call it the fully loaded 99 end of an era ringside exclusive bloody, and just have the blood a camera made out of razor blades.
Yeah, and you have the people that collect bloody figures. I mean, there's so much bases there that the collectors are just, they want something different. And this is definitely something different, especially in WWE that's never released a bloody type figure like this.
Yeah, I think, what do they got? The Rhodes brothers, and they got Britt Baker's got one, I think. So I
Mhm.
mean, that's definitely something WWE should look into and be a part
Yeah.
of. Join the party.
Yeah, like you said, include the razor blade camera, a couple
Right.
steel chairs, the crutch. You can have the crutch for McMahon.
Right. Absolutely. I think Undertaker Kane, although he's got a red mask and a red costume, but Undertaker Kane would be a great one. I think to, pairings that make sense, I think would,
Yeah,
yeah. Speaking
that's
of Undertaker Kane, have you watched the episode yet of the Evil miniseries
no.
on
Is
the
it is
heels?
is the Undertaker episode available?
They're all available. So they just kind of they put them all out there, all 8 of them. Of course, I skipped today right to the Undertaker's, like episode 5. I skipped right to Undertaker Kane. I skipped over, they had other ones on Miz and Roman Reigns, and I'll get to those eventually, I suppose. But Ric Flair is one. I think that's a good heel one. That makes sense. But they do have Undertaker Kane, 45 minutes apiece.
Wow.
Undertaker Kane, 45 minutes. And then the other one I had to watch was Stephanie McMahon, 45 minutes. I had to watch that one, just my college crush. But in addition to that, Undertaker makes an appearance, because when Stephanie first becomes an on-screen character, the Undertaker abducts her. So the Undertaker is a part of that one a little bit.
Nice. I have to
But it
watch
was,
that one.
yeah, it was really good. You'll have to watch it before you record the Mothership show for Friday.
Mothership show.
Yeah, the Mothership, but so that way you can talk about it. But I saw that Alex Dorio at Talking Taker, he watched it today, so that kind of reminded me, like, oh yeah, that came out today, I need to watch that. And it was only 45 minutes, so I watched it, and it was pretty good. I mean, it was nothing that you and I haven't heard before a million times. John Cena is a very good narrator. He's a narrator for the series, an executive producer. I
Oh,
like John
cool.
Cena.
Yeah.
But it's ironic to me that the guy who would never turn heel is the narrator for the heel series. It's hilarious to me, but it was good to see, have him be the narrator and help tell the story of, and Bruce Pritchard is on there a lot, and just helping to tell the story. Undertaker and Kane make appearances too, telling the story again, but all new footage of them talking about it now. And the Undertaker origins, the Kane origins, how they came together, and then they kind of, it was really, for it being an evil show, it was a story for probably 2/3 of it is how they were fighting each other, and Kane was evil and Undertaker's kind of a good guy. And I'm like, are they going to get to Undertaker being a bad guy at all? And they do. The last third, they talk about how they came together and then they broke apart, came together, broke apart, came together. So they do talk about that eventually, how the Undertaker was the one who set the funeral home on fire and was the evil one all along. So they do talk about that, but very good episode. Definitely worth watching. I'll get to the rest eventually just for funsies, but that one had to be first.
Yeah. And Stephanie had to be second for you.
For sure. I think they're episode like 5 and 6, and I forget what episode 1 is, but I was like, no, absolutely not. We're going to the Undertaker, and then we're going to Stephanie McMahon. I loved that story with Stephanie where the whole thing with the Undertaker in early 99, and then by late 99 with Triple H, and she gets drugged into marrying him and then turns on Vince at the pay-per-view. And I just love that story. So
you got to pick up that new Stephanie McMahon Elite figure coming out later.
The freaking ET finger. Did you see the picture? And she's got a finger that's like this long. It's crazy. I will pick it up though. I'm pretty sure there's nothing I need to order or special order like the Undertaker WCW tag team title that we're waiting on next month.
Hopefully for next month's episode.
Right. I'm sure I'll see Stephanie at the store. I'm not in any danger there. I don't think. Yeah.
Probably. She's not really popular, for mass collectors to go and grab her.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to find that. And same for Series 14 Legends. I'm still seeing 13s at Target. I know we've got about, a week to go, give or take.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking at Targets just because you never know who's going to put them out first. And there are just so many 13s out there. I am pretty sure I'm going to find a 14, even though I didn't get the pre-order in.
I mean, hopefully they stock. Hopefully, because if they see them already out there, like, it can wait.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully we hook up here in April for the next First Blood match. We'll have Mean Mark Callis here, and maybe we'll have WCW Tag Team Champion here. Hopefully, be nice.
The stars align. That's what we can only hope for.
I'd be excited for that, but it's also that post-Christmas morning letdown where I don't have any more Undertaker figures that I know that are coming out after Mean Mark. I'd be kind of disappointed, but I'm sure something will happen eventually. Maybe a Hall of Fame figure.
Oh, I can only hope. Hopefully. I mean, the putting out, I mean, I didn't even expect them to put out those retro t-shirts.
Yeah.
So that was quite a surprise.
Well, I was going to complain because one of the other Hall of Famers, maybe it was Vader. I can't remember now, but one of the other Hall of Famers has 2 shirts. I was going to say, hey man, where's the Undertaker's second shirt? But he did get a second shirt, and now they put out the retro one. So I definitely want to get at that see you on the other side one, because I remember that. But I'm also kind of wondering, I have to decide, but I'm also wondering if there's going to be more. So they want you to make multiple orders, pay for shipping multiple times.
No,
I'm just going
of course,
hang in there
multiple times.
Right.
And pay full price for the t-shirts. Don't wait until it goes on sale.
No. Got to search around for a coupon code or something. Make me feel like I won, even though I didn't really win.
Yes. Now I think he has 2 more First Blood matches. He has Undertaker and Kane versus Haku and Rikishi.
Yes.
Down. And he also has Mr. Kennedy at Survivor Series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think originally when we talked about this a month or so ago, I just briefly did a cursory count, and I said, I think there's 2 First Blood matches, this one and Mr. Kennedy. And I did some research and I saw, wait a minute. Because we were talking about how Undertaker didn't win either of those matches. He was 0 for 2. He loses tonight. He loses to Mr. Kennedy, trying to put the young guy over. So he never won a First Blood match. So I was just kind of searching around and I saw, wait a minute, on our way from 99 to 06, we should make a pit stop in 2001.
Yes.
It's a random Raw, February 1st, 01.
The random SmackDown.
Is it SmackDown?
An extreme SmackDown.
Oh my, extreme SmackDown. So it's so extreme, it's almost like a Raw. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
That's why. It's extreme. It's almost like a Raw.
Rikishi and Haku, and spoilers, the Undertaker gets his First Blood win.
He's 1 and 2 in First Blood.
So that one, I didn't check the time on that match, but depending on you want to handle it, it's probably like a 5-minute SmackDown match. And I think the Kennedy match is like a 9-minute, which together would be probably about the same amount of time as the match we just watched.
I
So we
think
could
we do
probably
a
cram them.
double feature First Blood.
I don't know that Rikishi and Haku need their own episode. I don't know that that's necessary.
Double feature First Blood, especially if we have two figures here, Mean Marcalis and WCW Taker. Double figures, double feature.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
Awesome. So that's the plan for next time. Double feature First Blood. We end the First Bloods and then we can move on to something else for May.
Yeah, we can do we'll have to talk about it as we get closer to next month, what our next foray is going to be, because there's a list of them I kept, but there's a list of a lot of them that have 2 or 3 gimmick matches and a lot of them that have, 17. We can dive into one of the bigger ones. We can keep finishing off some of the smaller ones for now and just get rid of some of those. And then we can always, after we do 3 or 4 of them, we can always take a break and do something else if we wanted to. We could always do, I thought about world championship losses. He's got to lose all 7 of those titles. And I know when we first started this 10 months ago, I think what started this is I said, what do you think? Do you want to do fully loaded 98? They win the tag belts, or do you want to do SummerSlam 97? He loses to Bret Hart. And I think you said, let's stick with the wins for a while. So we went with the tag belts, and that's what started this whole thing. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you still feel that way, but I one day I do the 7 world title losses just to go through the times that he lost the belt or lost the hardcore belt even.
Wow. So we had to start with this Tuesday in Texas.
That was the very first thing I ever watched on the network. I don't know if you remember what the very first thing is that you watched on the network, but that was mine.
First thing I watched on the network? I don't know. I had to get back to you on that. I had to actually think about that. What was the first thing I watched? It was probably
2014.
It was probably some kind of random Raw. I probably did. Maybe I rewatched the moment of him crucifying Austin or something like that.
Oh, that would make sense for you. That makes sense.
Probably something like that. That or the Mick Foley tossing him off the Hell in the Cell.
That for some reason, even though he lost, I just remember being like in 2014, I had never seen Tuesday in Texas ever. I mean, we didn't order that pay-per-view when I was 10 or anything like that. And I wanted to see that match. So I was like, it's almost like I didn't believe the network had everything. I was like, I'm going to look for this Tuesday in Texas and see if it's on there and then play it. It's almost like I didn't believe that it would play, but it worked. It was awesome. By the way, I kept my pay-per-view going. It's fully loaded 2000 now. And the Undertaker is literally chasing Kurt Angle with his motorcycle throughout the arena, like in the backstage area.
Wonderful, wonderful times. I'm thinking we can finish off the First Bloods in April. We can do something in May, and then starting in June, we can take a look back at the championship losses. Do that once a month, and then the new year we get right back on track with the gimmick matches, or we could do 2 a month. If you want to do something like that, a gimmick match and a championship loss. If you want to meet up here twice a month, I'm game for it.
After I get the move out of the way and get settled anyway. Yeah. That was something like that. We could just bop around, but we'll eventually get to all the gimmick matches.
Yeah. I mean, we got years of content.
I'm not going anywhere. I got plenty of props, holidays.
I got plenty of action figures and stories. So we are good to go. Well, thank you again, Randy, for joining me here today. It has been a fun way to kick off our look back at the gimmick matches of The Undertaker, a fun way to kick around an idea of taking a look back at his championship losses sometime in the future, and just taking a look back at one of my favorite matches of all time, of revisiting The Undertaker versus Stone Cold, a Attitude Era fight fest, if you would call it. It is everything the Attitude Era is known for, wrapped up in a giant ball here and fully loaded in 1999. You got blood, you got Vince McMahon, you got Undertaker, Austin. The only thing missing, it just missing a little bit of Paul Bearer and a little bit more of interference, just a little bit more, and just would have been perfect Attitude Era. Yeah, that
Yeah.
little, yeah, a little bit at the end with the run-ins from X-Pac and Triple H and Rock. Just a little bit more throughout the match. Been perfect.
I don't remember what happened to Paul Bear. Do you? I didn't look into that.
I don't know why he was not there.
Yeah. What's the deal? He was part of the ministry. I didn't even look into that.
Yeah, unless Austin beat him up sometime during the night,
That's possible. Maybe I missed it. Maybe
possibly.
he was too busy blading like everybody was. So
Maybe he was stuck in the bloodmobile and they never got him out.
well, I brought all the birthday props. So are you going to be blading tonight for the first blood theme?
Probably. Possibly, you never know.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can't wait to do this again next month with you, Randy. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe this YouTube video. Subscribe to my podcast. Follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, Collect Up Dead, Collecting Dead Man. Follow Randy Turco on Twitter at Pokey's Little Dog for his treadmill of horror every Friday. Is it still every Friday?
Every Friday, I drop the This Week in Treadmill hashtag This Week in Treadmill horror. What did I watch on the treadmill?
Yeah.
Always horror. Yep.
You can't miss that every Friday. That's reason number one to follow him. Reason number two, he's a giant Undertaker fan. But This Week in Treadmill Horror, you got to follow that. And as always, Creatures of the Night. We'll be back here, same Taker time, same Taker channel. So keep on rolling, baby. And as always, thank you.